Yambo Bana, Yambo Bana, Yambo Bana. To all and each of my men the welcome was given. We were now about 300 yards from the village of Ujiji, and the crowds are dense about me. Suddenly I hear a voice on my right say, "Good morning, sir." Startled at hearing this greeting in the midst of such a crowd of black people, I turn sharply around in search of the man, and see him at my side, with the blackest of faces but animated and joyous, a man dressed in a long white shirt, with a turban of American sheeting around his woolly head, and I ask, "Who the mischief are you?" "I am Susie, the servant of Dr. Livingstone," said he, smiling, and showing a gleaming row of teeth. "What? Is Dr. Livingstone here?" "Yes, sir." "In this village?" "Yes, sir." "Are you sure?" "Sure, sure, sir. Why, I leave him just now." "Good morning, sir," said another voice. "Hello," said I. "Is this another one?" "Yes, sir." "Well, what's your name?" "My name is Chuma, sir." "What? Are you Chuma, the friend of Wekutani?" "Yes, sir." "And is the doctor well?" "Not very well, sir." "Where has he been so long?" "In Manyuema." "Now, you, Susie, run and tell the doctor I am coming." "Yes, sir," and off he darted like a madman. But by this time we were within 200 yards of the village, and the multitude was getting denser and almost preventing our march. Flags and streamers were out. Arabs and Wangwana were pushing their way through the natives in order to greet us, for according to their account we belonged to them. But the great wonder of all was, how did you come from Unyanyembe? Soon Susie came running back and asked me my name. He had told the doctor I was coming, but the doctor was too surprised to believe him, and when the doctor asked him my name, Susie was rather staggered. But during Susie's absence, the news had been conveyed to the doctor that it was surely a white man that was coming, whose guns were firing, and whose flag could be seen. And the great Arab magnates of Ujiji, Mohammed bin Salih, Said bin Majid, Abid bin Suleiman, Mohammed bin Gharib, and others, had gathered together before the doctor's house, and the doctor had come out from his veranda to discuss the matter and await my arrival. In the meantime, the head of the expedition had halted, and the Kirangozi was out of the ranks, holding his flag aloft, and Selim said to me, "I see the doctor, sir. Oh, what an old man! He has got a white beard." And what would I not have given for a bit of friendly wilderness, where, unseen, I might vent my joy in some mad freak, such as idiotically biting my hand, turning a somersault, or slashing at trees, in order to allay those exciting feelings that were well nigh uncontrollable. My heart beats fast, but I must not let my face betray my emotions, lest it shall detract from the dignity of a white man appearing under such extraordinary circumstances. So I did that which I thought was most dignified. I pushed back the crowds, and, passing from the rear, walked down a living avenue of people, until I came in front of the semicircle of Arabs, before which stood the white man with the grey beard. As I advanced slowly towards him, I noticed he was pale, that he looked wearied and wan, that he had grey whiskers and moustache, that he wore a bluish cloth cap with a faded gold band on a red ground round it, and that he had on a red-sleeved waistcoat and a pair of grey tweed trousers. I would have run to him, only I was a coward in the presence of such a mob, would have embraced him, but that I did not know how he would receive me. So I did what moral cowardice and false pride suggested was the best thing. Walked deliberately to him, took off my hat, and said, "Dr. Livingstone, I presume?" "Yes," said he, with a kind, cordial smile, lifting his cap slightly. I replaced my hat on my head, and he replaced his cap, and we both grasped hands. I then said aloud, "I thank God, Doctor, I have been permitted to see you." He answered, "I feel thankful that I am here to welcome you." I turned to the Arabs, took off my hat to them in response to the saluting chorus of Yambos I received, and the doctor introduced them to me by name. Then, oblivious of the men who shared with me my dangers, we, Livingstone and I, turned our faces towards his house. He pointed to the veranda, or rather mud platform, under the broad overhanging eaves. He pointed to his own particular seat, which I saw his age and experience in Africa had suggested, namely, a straw mat with a goatskin over it, and another skin nailed against the wall to protect his back from contact with the cold mud. I protested against taking this seat, which so much more befitted him than I, but the doctor would not yield. I must take it. We were seated, the doctor and I, with our backs to the wall. The Arabs took seats on our left. More than 1,000 natives were in our front, filling the whole square densely, indulging their curiosity, and discussing the fact of 2 white men meeting at Ujiji, one just come from Manyuema in the west, the other from Unyanyembe in the east. Conversation began. What about? I declare I have forgotten. Oh, we mutually asked questions of one another, such as, "How did you come here?" and "Where have you been all this long time? The world has believed you to be dead." Yes, that was the way it began. But whatever the doctor informed me, and that which I communicated to him, I cannot correctly report, for I find myself gazing at him, conning the wonderful figure and face of the man at whose side I now sat in Central Africa. Every hair of his head and beard, every wrinkle of his face, the wanness of his features and the slightly wearied look he wore, were all imparting intelligence to me. The knowledge I craved for so much ever since I heard the words, "Take what you want, but find Livingstone." What I saw was deeply interesting intelligence to me, and unvarnished truth. I was listening and reading at the same time. What did these dumb witnesses relate to me? Oh, reader, had you been at my side on this day in Ujiji, how eloquently could be told the nature of this man's work. Had you been there but to see and hear, his lips gave me the details, lips that never lie. I cannot repeat what he said. I was too much engrossed to take my notebook out and begin to stenograph his story. He had so much to say that he began at the end, seemingly oblivious of the fact that 5 or 6 years had to be accounted for. But his account was oozing out. It was growing fast into grand proportions, into a most marvelous history of deeds. The Arabs rose up, with a delicacy I approved, as if they intuitively knew that we ought to be left to ourselves. I sent Bombay with them to give them the news that they also wanted so much to know about the affairs at Unyanyembe. Said bin Majid was the father of the gallant young man whom I saw at Masangi, and who fought with me at Zimbizo, and who soon afterwards was killed by Mirambo's Ruga Ruga in the forest of Williankuru. And knowing that I had been there, he earnestly desired to hear the tale of the fight. But They had all friends at